The call came while the turkey thawed in the sink. "If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes," my daughter-in-law snapped, loud enough for the line to crackle. I watched the steam rise from the kettle, controlled, steady. I replied with one word: enjoy. I hung up before she could breathe again. My phone vibrated almost immediately. A message from my wife. "I love you." The words sat there, clean and obedient, like a lie that had learned good manners. I lifted her scarf from the chair, pressed it to my face. Cologne, not mine. Something sharp opened in my chest and didn't bleed. I cataloged it instead. Brand, note, time. 18 months of evenings that smelled like someone else's confidence. 18 months of emails where she blamed me for distance, for work, for grief. 18 months of apologies I never asked for. The kettle screamed. I turned it off. On the counter, my tablet lit up with a photo I had scheduled weeks ago. A terrace in Switzerland. Glass, snow, blue so clean it looked unreal. I posted it without a caption. My phone rang, once, then again. By the time it hit 71 missed calls, I finally smiled. I didn't accuse. Accusations are for people who want to be argued out of the truth. I remembered the first night I noticed the emails, long paragraphs, therapeutic language, how she said, "You never listen," without mentioning the hours I sat quiet, listening to the house breathe. How she wrote, "I feel invisible," while glowing from dinners I didn't attend. I remembered the calendar entries she hid under work, late meeting, conference prep, the way her phone never left her hand, the way it slept face down like a guilty animal. Denial is a luxury. I don't buy luxuries without reading the fine print. I watched instead. I noted the days she wore that smile, the one that comes from being chosen elsewhere. I smelled the cologne again and again. I read the emails where she sharpened her grievances, forging a paper trail to justify whatever came next. When she said, "I love you," I felt the weight of it, heavy, overused. I said it back once, just once, to hear how it sounded in my mouth. It tasted borrowed. I became smaller, quieter, predictable. Men make mistakes when they change their routines. I kept mine. I pulled phone records with a lawyer's efficiency and a thief's patience. I traced numbers that circled our life like vultures. I watched her car leave early and return late. I installed nothing. I touched nothing. I let the world leave fingerprints. At night, I planned. Not revenge, structure. I built a list of names that never crossed our dinner table. I mapped careers, boards, partnerships. The man whose cologne she wore wasn't alone. People like him never are. They orbit power and borrow it. They lean on systems and call it talent. I gathered a quiet army. Accountants who owed me favors. Journalists who loved a clean document. Regulators who believed in timing. I fed them facts. No drama, no conclusions. Just proof, stacked neatly like bone china. At home, I smiled. I nodded. I listened to stories about work that didn't exist. Inside, the storm learned patience. The results arrived on a Tuesday. A file, a timeline, messages recovered, deleted, resurrected, photos cropped to look accidental, hotel receipts paid through shell accounts. 18 months, counted to the hour. I invited her to sit. I slid the folder across the table. No speech, no tremor. She opened it and folded inward, like a building losing load-bearing walls. Her breath came fast. Her eyes searched for mercy I had already sold. "Say it," I said softly, not because I needed to hear it, because silence is a mirror. She cried, she begged, she reached for my hand. I kept mine still. Her lover's name fell out of her mouth like a confession she'd practiced alone. I nodded once. I already knew. I asked a single question. "Did you think I wouldn't notice the smell?" She broke. I didn't raise my voice. I raised the stakes. That afternoon, the first article went live. By evening, a board convened. By morning, contracts dissolved like sugar in water. The man with the cologne lost his title, then his friends. His partners discovered ethics. His empire learned gravity. I sent one message to my daughter-in-law. A photo, Switzerland, the villa, light spilling across marble, no caption. Her reply came in screams, then apologies, then offers. My phone rang 71 times. I answered none of them. At home, I packed one bag. I left the folder on the table, open to the last page. Not the photos, the dates, the count. 18 months. I walked out while she was still explaining herself to the air.
On the terrace, the cold was honest. Mountains don't pretend to be gentle. I thought about the man I was before the smell, about the man I am now. There was no joy in it, only clarity. A clean line drawn through a life that had learned to lie. Power isn't noise, it's the absence of need. I turned my phone off and watched the light move across snow that had never heard my name. When I finally spoke, it was only to myself. Some betrayals don't deserve forgiveness. They deserve to be outlived.